Bitcoin is pumping, but please don't fall for it. In today's video, we'll be talking about the most recent Bitcoin price action and what is happening right in front of our eyes. First and foremost, if you've been on the channel for quite some time, you know that I have been talking about Bitcoin getting some sort of relief rally. At this point in time, the only trade that I am currently holding is my short, and I will let you know as soon as I decide to enter any new trades. But we need to understand what is happening here, and this is typical bear market price action. Bitcoin is currently just above $68,000 as I'm recording this video. And you can see that right now we are trying to hold this point of control of the month-long range as support. We pumped all the way from around $62,400 to wicking essentially $70,000. So what is next in this market? You can see here that on the chart, I have my eyes on some key levels. Yes, I entered my short at around $97,000, but I am actually looking to add to my existing short position. Now, before we continue the video, please remember that I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I discuss on the channel should be construed as financial advice. I have a disclaimer in the description down below for you to read. Let's get back to the charts. So, as we try to hold on to this point of control, we have the local highs, which is around $72,000, and then we have all the way up here, the tariff capitulation lows, which is a very critical level to pay attention to, along with this light blue line, which is the anchored VWAP. This is essentially the region that I would look to enter a new swing short in this market, or should I say, add to my existing position. Now, my current position is up around 100K in unrealized profits, and I've secured just over $300,000. Over the past 2 weeks, I've actually tried to enter a couple of longs, getting stopped out on those smaller positions. But my overall strategy for this bear market has remained exactly the same, looking for swing shorting opportunities and taking on a couple of smaller longs in this market. Now, why do I think that it's important to fade this pump? First and foremost, we are in a bear market, but we also can take a look at the prior bear market price action for Bitcoin, and this is very, very similar. Take a look at the weekly Bitcoin chart. You can see here that in the previous bear market, we had a pretty big move to the downside, then a pump to the bull market support band to ultimately get rejected. This is what we got this bear market, a push all the way down, a nice move up, which I went ahead and went long here, took a short here, and this is the short that you're currently seeing on the channel. Now we got another move down. After this move down, we did get another decent move to the upside, and I think that this is what we're seeing right in front of our eyes. And if you don't believe me, go take a look at my previous videos. I've been talking about a relief rally for Bitcoin. I think that this is exactly what we're seeing. So we got the move down, and now this is a relief rally. I gave you the highlighted levels on the lower time frames. However, there's more that you need to consider. What we're seeing locally is very similar price action to what happened when Bitcoin went all the way up to $97,000. If we zoom out, you'll notice that on the 4-hour time frame, when Bitcoin initially dropped down to 80K, we did get a very decent move to the upside, bringing us to the bull market support band before getting rejected. At this point in time, you can see that Bitcoin is currently hovering around $68,000, and this is starting to look like choppy price action that could ultimately send us a little bit higher. Now, I also wanted to take you through a shorter time frame long that I was looking to execute on, but I literally missed it by a few $100s. So if we take a fib here, this is just for educational purposes. I wanted to show you how I missed out on this trade. We take a fib here from the low to the high at around $92,000. Bitcoin essentially tapped perfectly into the 0.786 Fibonacci level. But for me to actually consider going long, which I unfortunately missed, I wanted to see Bitcoin essentially sweep these lows right at around $62,200. We did not manage to sweep that level. We came within just a few $100, and here you can see the pump. But this is the beauty about trading the crypto market. There is unlimited opportunities to be trading it. And by the way, if you want to see how I am personally trading the market, you do have the first link in my description down below. If you click this link and DM me the keyword CBM on Telegram, you'll get access to my group, which is essentially all of my own personal trades. But as I shared previously, over the past couple weeks, I've taken a couple of losses on my longs. I just wanted to be fully transparent about that. But this is a long-term game. as we're trying to trade the price action currently, we have to remember that Bitcoin is still in a bear market. And usually right around this time frame, we can get a rally in the midterm years all the way up until March, early March, then we can potentially go ahead and move lower. My base case is still that in this bear market, this level all the way down to sub $60,000 is not the bear market low. And one of the main reasons why is because bottoms take time to form. How many times have you heard me say this? So ultimately, even though we're getting a little bit of a relief rally here, as we saw in the previous bear markets, I do firmly believe that when Bitcoin starts building out a more significant base, that's when we can discuss the bear market bottom. But at this point in time, this is simply just a wick to the downside, lower time frame reversal, and it is possible that this reversal can continue and we get a move maybe even up to $80,000. However, my base case is that this would ultimately go ahead and move lower, targeting this level right around $50,000 for Bitcoin, which was the initial wick that brought us all the way up to all-time highs stemming from summer of 2024. That being said, as a long-term Bitcoin holder, I will start dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin for my long-term stack as soon as we make it back below $60,000, because yes, this is still my base case. Now, I also wanted to take you through the Coinbase Premium Index. Naturally, we're seeing a lot of people buy Bitcoin, and this is starting to flip green. This is ultimately positive, and if we can continue here, this would suggest that Bitcoin can go ahead and move higher from this zone. The only thing that you need to understand on the lower time frames before we start talking about this value area high, the local highs, and the tariff capitulation lows is the fact that we are technically still forming a lower high. We got rejected right at this trend line, and therefore there actually is a chance that on the lower time frames we experience a little bit of resistance here. Now, a lot of you have been asking me about the whole Jane Street debacle, but I tend to agree with Ben here. Bitcoin price action is not a manipulated conspiracy. Bitcoin has literally pumped into early March in every single midterm year. Whether this will be a more significant pump remains to be seen, but it is indeed true. Every cycle, there is a narrative to support it. Then by April, everyone forgot what the narrative was. Narrative follows price. And this is why I take a look at the charts before I consider any kind of news. Charts always come first. Next thing you need to understand here is today we got the initial jobless claims, which came in basically right at the consensus, a nothing burger. And tomorrow we do have PPI month over month. Now, in a perfect world, where would I add to my existing Bitcoin short? It would be if we can manage to get a pump up to those tariff capitulation lows. The reason I say this is because if we are to make it up there, it may take a little bit of time. And if we do make it up there, that will likely coincide with the anchored VWAP, which is this light blue line on the chart, a very, very pivotal level. However, looking for a potential swing short, this could be an interesting zone overall to slowly build into my position, as Bitcoin will likely go ahead and move lower. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just sharing with you how I am personally trading this market. My short average entry is around $97,000, and obviously this average entry will be diminished if I do start adding to my position, but I will let you know. As soon as I decide to go ahead and pull the trigger on adding to my most recent Bitcoin short, you will know within my community, which is the first link in my description down below. DM me the keyword CBM on Telegram, and I'd be more than happy to add you to my private group where I go ahead and share all of my own personal trades in the market and my overall market analysis before I go ahead and jump on the YouTube channel. Next thing I wanted to cover in this quick update is Nvidia did surge following record-breaking 68.1 billion quarterly revenue report. Now, their earnings results included obviously the record quarterly revenue, but the Q1 2026 revenue guidance of $79.6 billion, data center revenue up around 1,200% since ChatGPT, gross margin of around 75%, and free cash flow of $34.9 billion, which is up nearly $20 billion year over year. This has been an absolutely massive quarter for Nvidia, and naturally tech stocks tend to benefit from this, and Bitcoin does also like this. So at this point in time, you can see that we're currently going into resistance, but for me to justify adding to my existing short position, I would like to see one of these levels at the bare minimum swept. Assuming it can make it all the way up to these tariff capitulation lows, which would be another 10% rally, or maybe even all the way up to $80,000, I do still think that we will naturally fade lower as we typically do in bear market years. I'm just running you through my overall thesis. You don't have to agree with me if you don't want to, but at this point in time, I don't think it makes sense to be extremely excited if Bitcoin starts rallying a little bit more. I gave you the levels that I'm currently looking at. Now it's all about execution. The next thing I want you to understand here is President Trump continues to come out and talk about how we are winning so much. Let's hear what he had to say.
Our country is winning again. In fact, we're winning so much that we really don't know what to do about it. People are asking me, please, 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 Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore. We're not used to winning in our country. Until you came along, we're just always losing, but now we're winning too much. And I say, no, 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 you're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And to prove that point, here with us tonight is a group of winners.
What an interesting character. I just wanted to wrap up this video taking a look at the Bitcoin price action more locally again, so you can see that we're trying to hold this point of control as support. If we start losing it, then it does potentially make the case that we can go ahead and bleed lower once more, but I do think it's important to be cautious if you've been longing Bitcoin at this point in time. And that sums up today's quick video. Bitcoin is getting a decent rally, but I did not manage to get that long. Now, I am looking to add to my existing swing short because I do ultimately believe that Bitcoin has a very high probability of moving lower at the bare minimum, sweeping below $60,000. It's probably not what you want to hear, but I'm just sharing with you how I am personally navigating this bear market. We have seen this price action before. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. As always, I have my bluffin leverage trading tutorial right here, and I'll see you in the next video.